Welcome everyone, Christine here with Malakai Makaisson's campaign after the release of Omens of Destruction. People have asked me to do a video on how to play this campaign, and I am going to do just that. Now, I've included some details in other videos, but people wanted a video specifically for this. It is one of the most popular campaigns in the game at the moment. First thing you want to do is get rid of the gem mine. The reason you want to get rid of the gem mine, you don't need the money and you need to vary your unit recruitment, or hero recruitment regardless. Now, the problem with Malakai's campaign is you've got Arbol, Archeon, Frot, Azazel, Trog, and they're all going to be coming for you one way or another. Then you combine it with various objectives that you may have as the dwarves, because it isn't just a question of winning when you're playing the dwarves. It's also a question, can I get enough legendary grudges to prevent some of these legendary lords like Grumbrindle or Forgrim from being wiped out in the first place? Because Grumbrindle has a tendency, at least on legendary very hard, of being wiped out. This is, by the way, vanilla legendary hard. Okay, so one of the ways we do that is we try and sell some of these legendary grudges. One of the best ones to do so is North Sky. May not be enough, but it is just an idea. You gotta decide which path you're gonna go on with Malakai. I'm gonna show what I think is the best path. I've played plenty of campaigns as Malakai, so let's get started. The one first decision you're gonna have in Malakai's campaign from the beginning is how are you going to tackle the Spirit Summoned ability. You don't need to summon the Spirit of Agruni for these two battles. Just auto-resolve them, in fact, even on Legendary. But the question is, would it be beneficial to summon the Spirit? Well, here's what I've tested. And I did 4 campaigns as Malakai back-to-back to test what is the best path. If you are building everything the moment you get surplus points, you can use the Spirit on the first turn, and it will be roughly around the same time as it would be to get to tier 4. The goal is to get to tier 4 as quickly as possible. You will get to tier 4 at roughly the same time as if you waited to summon the Spirit of Gruni, assuming, of course, you're building structures as quickly as possible, but waiting to summon the Spirit of Gruni until the Cargo Racks is built. That's because of the benefits of, getting 5 growth plus 5 growth. You don't need the oath gold, by the way, early on. Like, you'll always get it anyway, so, yeah. So the question with regards to that is it worth it? Well, again, if you can build it, if you can always build those structures instantly the moment they come up, yeah, you can go either way. But if you don't necessarily think, if you aren't certain you will be able to build those structures because they are expensive structures, keep that in mind. Then it is actually better to delay summoning the Spirit of Gruni, because that way you'll get a significant amount of growth all at once, and that will help you out quite a bit. Basically, Malakai has 10 growth points. He needs 20 for a surplus point. Between Spirit Summoned and the Cargo Racks, you get 20 in total. That means you're getting 1 surplus point per turn. Anyway, one of the things I should have done here, but not necessarily relevant, but just declare all these wars against these various factions that you can. Don't declare war willy-nilly on everyone, like don't declare war on Archeon, for instance. That would be, that would not be a good idea, suffice to say. Also, don't declare war on Azazel. So anyway, we get Way of the Guilds, Heavy Cornstones, we're gonna get Runesmiths and Gyrocopters. I would argue in favor of Iron Drakes, but the problem is, Iron Drakes and Thunderers, while they're good units, they need other units to support them, and you lack barracks to do so. Like, you need some, like, Quarrelers to also come in, or Dwarf Warriors. And yes, you have one with Malakai, but the problem with the Spirit at a low level, it can only recruit 1 unit. I don't bother with recruiting a lot of other things. So here's so you do want to recruit some Dwarf Warriors with Malakai. Dwarf Warriors with shield. Get replenishment over here for Felix. Take this entire territory. You might have a couple more declarations of war, but take this entire territory. Get the engineer. Get a runesmith, and then I'll skip ahead a couple of turns. But this is what you want to do on turn 1, and you may want to save the money because, like, yeah, saving money is useful. Okay. Over here on turn 5, you may get an event like this, assuming you haven't declared war. It can be randomized. Personally, I'm just going to go into the book. Because most of the time I would recommend putting them in the book. You don't need too many of them, and besides, when you decide to declare war on a faction is kind of a big deal. Firmly recommend going to the cannons first. Not because they're necessarily better than the copters, they might not be, but rather because there is an event with regards to the Dwarven refugees here that you want to take advantage of. So anyway, right here, we still haven't summoned the Spirit of Gruni in a battle at one point. We are getting gyrocopters, so we're just gonna move that. We also got the Runesmith over here. So what we want is all of these guys. And that's one of the reasons I recommend you don't spend money too early on, because it might end up like that's you might not recruit dwarf warriors at all in this campaign. But regardless, we got a bunch of declarations of war, and now we're going for Xiao Ming. Don't worry too much about him; he won't bother us. Because it's subsidies. But yeah, don't upgrade the barracks that you have on the Spirit of Gruni, because it is a freaking expensive affair at 4,000 gold. Instead, get all this stuff. Oh yes, we are going down that rabbit hole. And yeah, another lord over here. We can actually switch to the growth and tradable resources building, because we do want that lovely, lovely growth. Get all kinds of arrangements. Right here. I did declare war on the Demon Prince and on Epidemius. But why is that? Well, because I know where Epidemius and the Demon Prince are. And I also know that they're very likely to declare war on me. So I might as well declare war on them first, so that they're gonna waste their time trying to come after me. Because you see, they don't have a port to land directly on my territory. What you actually want to delay over here is Arbol, Archeon, and yeah, just even the Skaven. Anyway. Okay, so over here, we take our Runesmith, we use the underway, but make sure you get the cannons first. That will make your life easier. And now, we attack Helpit. Now, the reason you want to attack Helpit as your first target, as opposed to doing the natural thing, which is taking these forts, you will face a harder fight if you do so. Whereas if you do this is legendary, very hard. You might face an army like this and help it itself. And you can double dip in the money. Not necessarily the post-battle loot, to be sure, but you can take the oath gold over here. Take help it. Let's say we sack it, because it is low enough level. Get rid of that. Put the Corrupt Venerate the Ancestors effect. And that's done. I would also recommend starting to get Slayers on Malakai. The reason you're getting Slayers in this situation is because you want to unlock Garagrim Iron Fist, and that requires you to have 8 Slayer units. Now, with regards to Dwarf refugees, you can either offer them shelter or retribution. Offer them shelter would relocate them. You could reduce the construction cost of things, but yeah, relocating them is the smarter choice, because it gives you 30 growth for 10 turns. That is a significant level of growth that shouldn't be denied. Also, all these objectives, whenever you do them, you will end up in a better situation, right? So kill units with cannons, all that. I'm surprised it's actually only 50 that kill, considering how many Skaven. Maybe you do want to fight that battle manually, right? Anyway, get Skaven Slayer right here, various other upgrades, Tradition, Innovation. I'd recommend just getting Tradition, Innovation, and then waiting with leveling him up. If you have the money to upgrade the barracks, go for it. You know, you can get some quarrelers. In this case, I do, so not really an issue. Now, you might be thinking, well, isn't it concerning the Skaven will attack you in either lair of the Troll King? Well, the Skaven don't have the movement range to attack me at any point. And yes, there is Daniel or Yuri. So yeah, I forgot to turn off this. So the Skaven do not. Another reason you want to attack Hellpit first is if you don't attack Hellpit first, the army that was there in Hellpit, what it will do, the first thing it will do is use the Underway and try and go for the lair of the Troll King. That is genuinely going to be harmful towards your campaign. So you want to ensure that that doesn't happen. Now let's see what the movement range is here. We got traps.
The past is the past. Nope. Explosives expert. Armed and ready.
Although in this case, maybe I don't want to move in a trap. You can be ambushed as Malakai, in which case, good luck, is all I'm gonna say to the Skaven. They will fucking need it. You ambush the Slayer, good luck. But yeah, get more replenishment, armor. Just wait until he's higher level with, yeah, Stubborn Defiance. You can get up to 3 Slayer heroes in this campaign reasonably quickly. Yeah, so it doesn't say we can get Garagrim yet, but it will. So the Slayer thing, let me explain this. The Slayer benefit of getting Garagrim is a benefit. I don't dispute that it is a benefit. But it is also something you can skip early on, if you want to. The reason I'd say you should probably skip it is it saves you money. Oh, look at the freaking rats. See, this is kind of the worst scenario to find yourself in if you're playing a dwarf campaign, because this army, right, you're outnumbered 3-1 over here. Or 2-1. It says Valiant Defeat, but I am not concerned at all about all of this. So, like, the way you fight this is you corner camp your first army, wait for the second army to arrive right behind it, and then blow them up with gyrocopters and cannons. And that would be about it. The Skaven may have thrown 3 stacks against me, but it didn't matter. Oh, you might say, but they didn't take that many casualties. Yeah, regular gyrocopters may not necessarily do the damage I want them to, but it's all about breaking morale. On higher AI stats, which I personally dislike using, but on higher AI stats, I certainly would have taken more casualties because they wouldn't have broken so easily. Like, it's they literally broke before I could completely obliterate them. Now you gotta be a bit mindful over here. You know there's 3 Skaven armies right here. So we just gotta be a bit careful about what we're freaking doing.
Maintenance, that's key. You reckon an airship? Let's show her.
Because there might be an ambush, gents.
I'll get on it.
Or apparently not in this case.
Bring those cannons to bear.
Bam. You finish dealing with the Skaven, you wipe them out with Infortus Rock.
Explosives expert. Casting the runes.
I would like to see them ambush Malakai. And over here you get some growth. You make sure you get the refractory over here. And the settlement. There's no concern just yet right here.
It's always good when it's someone else.
And if you can wipe out enough Skaven,
The past is the past.
I'd still wait with Malakai until he gets level 12 to level him up. Because you want this special skill line. Or rather, really, one important thing about the special skill line is actually this one. Hero capacity, master engineer, recruitment, and all buildings. But everything that he has here is useful. So there's no point in improving other skills until you get that. Also, make sure, yeah, you get triangulation. Like, having master engineers is like the really important thing about gyrocopter armies. Like, you can make gyrocopter armies pretty effective without playing Malakai, but you do need that master engineer. Also, incidentally, I didn't summon the Spirit of Groaning just yet. I didn't need to. I didn't need to, and I'm saving for that optimal time. So yeah, deal with Fraud, just wipe him out. It's like he's not going to do anything right now. And then you got to decide. Do I go through Azazel and then into Norsca to capture this territory? Or do I go directly for Norsca? There's pros and cons of both approaches. The con, if you ignore here, is that Frot might just declare war. So you might want to leave an army right here to deal with that. Or, you know, just keep getting Slayers because, you know, we need Slayers. Okay, once you get Malakai to level 12, as well as leveling the others, make sure you get Hard to Hit, Stubborn Defiance for Gotrek. Obviously, you know, things like requisition or flash bomb. Flash bomb is very useful in combat. And with level 12 Malakai, you can also recruit yourself some dwarf engineers from any settlement, but it has to be a settlement. It doesn't work with a horde army. So if we look over here, we can see that, yeah, we can recruit engineers. We can't do so from Malakai's horde force. Make sure you get all 3 engineers that you can right here. You'll also get another one through a quest battle. And here, build a barracks and prepare. Start preparing right there. Get rat poison, always nice to have. And yeah, start leveling up Help It. Financial concerns are not really a big issue after this. Like Fraud just dead, Azazel. Azazel usually won't be close enough to be able to, you know, ruin your day. Runesmith. You can also harden armor for the Runesmith if you want to, as opposed to scouting. Though I would recommend early on you go for scouting more. Make sure toughened skinned is always generally the better choice for to go for a Dragon Slayer. For Felix, yeah, max out his armor, get Foe Seeker. Although you may want to pick up Sprightly Manning because he does get evasion and maybe Dragon Slayer too before picking up Foe Seeker. So you have Azazel's armies right here and his vassal. You don't want to deal with that vassal. And it's useful to have an army just following around, even if you're spending money on like some very basic units. The purpose of that army is not to be a combat force. The purpose of that army is to recruit, to get a couple of Slayers so you can get Garagrim. And also the purpose of that specific army is to capture settlements. So that way Malakai can move faster across settlements. Like that's one of the things. You might think, oh, I have an army, that's good enough. It doesn't work like that. Anyway. I've also summoned the Spirit of Grungni because I did get this building, so it's like now I'm going to max it out. Right here, we're just going to move this army over there and then switch the guys. Heroes can only join one army per turn, so but if you go over here and, you know, try to swap them out like that, that will also work. So we're just going to... You know what? I think I'm going to take Gotrek and Felix out of this army. Because they are actually need them more so elsewhere. Like, Malakai is really, really good with... Although you may want to actually keep them for one more battle. So, yeah, we're just going to take some of these damaged gyrocopters. And now we can just go after this. A bit annoying about that auto resolve, but it's not like a problem. It's not like we can't get more Slayers. Garagrim's just gonna be delayed, right? So it's like whatever, more or less. So yeah, we still got 5 Slayer units. So right here we withdraw. We start building a barracks finally. Okay. Now, the nice thing about Malakai, while he doesn't have a lot of ambush defense chance, he does have the ability of switching to this stance every time. Okay. So that's another Slayer unit we can get. So how many do we have right now? So we got 5, it says. Though really, yeah, that's 5. We can get 6 instantly. So realistically, like, we need 2 more. So what do we need? So we need Dragon Slayer, Doomseeker, Slayer, Pirates, Goblin, Hero, Giant Slayer. Like, yeah. So 2 more. Let's see about this. So 1 more right there. Get Dwarven Treasury, High King Authority. Why are you getting High King Authority? Well, your goal research-wise is to get underway trade caravans into construction guilds and grant throne chamber. That is your explicit goal right here. Now, you may wonder about the adventure here. I could fight that adventure, but there are 2 elven armies over here. They can give you more experience and money, but you don't fight the final battle as quickly as possible, because that would actually count as an elven army that you'd fight. So It's just generally a better practice to actually go deal with those elven armies right here in this campaign. And yeah, sell stuff to Castalton. Actually, we can go even further with Castalton. You don't need this territory, and you kind of want Castalton to go deal with other stuff, right? So it's like, stay the fuck off Norska, basically. That would be my personal motto on that. Like, yeah. Now, you gotta be mindful of Archeon, because in Arbol. So that means Operation Save Borosursus is a priority. Pay attention to, like, the last territory that Borosursus always loses is the Tower of Torm. Almost always. So you gotta pay attention to what's going on there. Like, he might win against Archeon, depending on your situation, but just pay attention to faction strength versus Archeon. Like, if he dips significantly below, it means he's lost his main army. We got the Demon Prince over here. What is he doing? So he's only at war with me, but he's not moving against me. And I'm trying to pay attention right here. Krokodrak is fairly strong as a defensive location, so the real vulnerabilities are the port or the Lair of the Troll King. Try and keep those intact. Right here. So yeah, we might also face a rebellion, but that's normal. A couple of turns later, both Trog and Epidemius have finally taken the bait. They all declared, all of Norska declared war on me, but because this is my most vulnerable settlement, that's where Norska is going to try and attack me. As for Epidemius, he's been on a long, long journey to try and attack me over here. A journey that will not go so well for Mr. Epidemius over here in this situation, because he doesn't necessarily have the military forces to overcome what I have. I also got Garagrim. He's on his way to go help over there. Now, what do you want to do after this point, right? So it's like, yeah, this attacks. Oh, you lose some pointless Slayers. I don't care about Slayers. Like, Slayers. Oh, look, Slayers. They died. How horrible. Okay, so the Demon Prince is coming in there. That's kind of what I wanted to engineer. I wanted them to attack there because I know I can defeat them on my ground. And the worst situation you can ever get is when you have to fucking chase them around. That is the dynamic there to avoid. So what would you do in this? What would you do with the rest of this situation? That's fairly simple. So you defeat Frot, you go for Azazel, either declaring war or engineering a war. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so just deal with that. Dwarven auto-resolve, what can I say? Dwarven auto-resolve versus Norska. We can get rid of almost all of this army. And so now, between regiments around, and keep in mind, Age of Reckoning is going to be complete soon in 1 turn from now, so it's like, feel the wrath of Malakai. And in a couple of turns, you get next turn you start getting gyro bombers. Yeah, no freaking joke. So we take our army over here, cannons and gyrocopters. It's like, oh, but Trog has so many units. What would you do against them? I don't need to do anything, because like he cannot win. He can do nothing. He will do nothing because he can do nothing. The only thing, like to give you an idea, between the Spirit of Grugni, the engineers, who are all buffing gyrocopters, I might add, like yeah, and the cannons. Don't forget those freaking babies, because we still have cannons. Like, this is one of the things to be said about gyrocopter armies. They do have their weaknesses. They've also been nerfed recently. Gyro bombers do give you options. Cannons, early on, go trick Felix and an army with a runesmith. That's a pretty freaking crazy army in itself. Against Norska, this is gonna be a butchery. And on the end turn, Mr. Daniel just walks right in the middle of our little ambush, because I did set a lovely ambush. Oh, Doomseekers go down. Again, Slayers are... I don't think Malakai has a good Slayer campaign. I think if you play with him with Slayers, that's not really the best way of doing it. But but you get Garagrim, you might say. Yeah, you get Garagrim, sure. He's a good replenishment hero. But the problem is Doomseekers that just take too many turns. And this is where we start having to talk about some of the issues in this campaign and some of the decisions we gotta make. See, this is the make or break moment for a Malakai campaign. Not anything up until this point. You have the following dilemma, if you will. And that dilemma, we're going to use the underway, is as such. Where's Gabriel? There we go. You can try and meet up with this army and send Gargrim either north or east. The reason you do so is to save Boris Ursus. Like, you could just use the underway, get over here, sell the Port of Secrets to Boris Ursus, draw in Archeon to deal with him. Or you can go west, so you deal with Wulfric. Either one of these choices is viable. It's worth pointing out. Or to some extent, what you could also do, it would be to, like, either one of these choices is certainly perfectly viable, right? Like over here, for instance, you know, with that first Age of Reckoning, we get over here a Trollhammer torpedo. We also got one in that Age of Reckoning army. Okay, so just start getting rid of some of the regular gyrocopters for other shit that's actually more useful in some ways. In some ways, I emphasize that aspect. If you want to use it, like, you know, Iron Drakes with Troll Hammers, all that. More artillery if you want a Flame Cannon. Though I think over here I might just get that Brotherhood of Grimnir regiment right now. Money-wise, that's where the various declarations of war, etc. But you gotta understand Epidemius and the Demon Prince attacking you there. The Demon Prince, I believe, used the teleport stance to attack me, by the way. And he failed. Very, very hard. But the Demon Prince and Epidemius attacking me, because of the nature of Nurgle recruitment, it's going to take Epidemius a long time to build another army, not that he had really had much of an army to begin with. Due to the nature of Daniel in general, he will summon more armies, but the most powerful army for any faction is the one they start with. So Warbreaker, all that kind of stuff. So you gotta decide what you're gonna do and how far you're gonna do. See, your objective here in Norska is not to wipe out Wulfric. Your objective is to complete the Legendary Grudge in Norska. Why? Because you want to confederate the other Legendary Lords of the Dwarves. So you gotta decide, do you want a harder eastern flank or an easier eastern flank, but you may sacrifice Grombrindal's territory for it? Because you can guarantee the Confederation of Grombrindal, but what you can't guarantee after a certain point is whether or not Grombrindal is still alive for you to be able to confederate them at that point. So that's kind of one of the big decisions you gotta make in Malakai's campaign. Where do you send Malakai's army? East, north, or west? In this case, I would probably take the Port of Secrets and sell that to Boris Ursus, assuming Boris is, you know, still alive by the time I can get to him. That is just one idea. I would actually get an artillery piece. Now, because you could delay a bit. Like, my intent here, what I would do is I would just keep sending that army westward. So the army that I have right now in Krankadrag that I've been building up carefully over there, the one that defeated Epidemius. Really? That is bullshit. Meanwhile, so like I would send that over there. Those little shitbags, aren't they? But you gotta be a bit careful about how you handle all of this. So yeah, but yeah, that would be their task, and send Malakai. It slows me down. Like, you do want to take Norska. As long as you have an army that can defeat Norska, it's not really relevant how fast you do it. And yeah, here, you know, I'm defeating the elves. I'm just sending these armies over here. You may want to send, like, the Grudge Seller army there is quite very capable on its own of defeating the, you know, these guys right here. Now, I would just want to deal with the Elven army right here. Right? And the reason I do that is because it is extra experience, it is extra money, so I delayed doing the quest battle as part of that specific adventure. And now we get higher levels over here. We can finally get access to the gemstone mine that we started with on turn 1. Pretty important bit. Get underway trade caravans. And I've also gotten the Spirit of going to tier 3. I'm waiting for points to get it to tier 4. So over here I did delay until I had a certain condition. Now, the one problem here you may have is, one, rebellions in this element, so maybe we even send these guys over here, you know, just in case a rebellion shows up. So, like, you know, until this army comes here to deal with this, it's gonna be a big chaos. But I think, like, sending Malakai over there, and you would get the gyro bomb. Like, if you want a lot of power in one army, you give it the gyro bombers. I would probably give this army some of the cannons, not all of them. I'd say that I'd give it 1 cannon, right? Some of the gyrocopters, the Brotherhood, etc. Keep the concentration of force. Like, you don't need a huge army to defeat fucking Wulfric. You do need a huge army and powerful one to defeat Archeon and Arbol. But that's why it's so important to keep Boris Ursus alive, because you keep Boris Ursus alive, Boris Ursus gives you time to deal with other things. But, like, yeah, eventually Arbol is just going to show up over here. Pay attention to that, because you don't want that freaking thing to happen. Also, we could get the Feint. I forgot about that, so yeah, it's like we can finally get experience, so yeah. Also, be careful a bit with the money you have. So, like, constant declarations of war. I mean, this depends on you, but I mean, given the nature of this specific campaign, it's like, I feel like if you're not maximizing your economy in every way possible, you're just, like, it's very, very easy for this campaign to get much harder very quickly, because you need multiple armies on multiple fronts to deal with things properly. Or rather, when I say properly, you could ignore Norska. Like, seriously, you could ignore Norska and just head east. But the reason I don't want to do that is because doing that does mean... Yep. The reason I don't want to do that in that situation is because going to do that is just a surefire way of ensuring that you don't get enough legendary grudges to get Grombrindle. Because it is 2.5k grudges, right? And opening and getting Grombrindle... or getting Belegar, really, but getting Grombrindle and his piece of territory, that is an exceptionally useful thing in your campaign, indeed. So these guys right here can deal with that. And eventually we'll just sort it all out. Oh, but what about... what about him? What about him? I'm not worried about him yet. I might be worried about losing the port, but... that's why we can cancel construction. And money-wise, you always have these kind of quest battles that you can fight. I probably should have fought that one this turn. Man, just pay attention to Cafe and Caravans. Get whatever money you can get for whatever trade agreement. So over here, he forced my hand. Astrogoth forced my hand. You gotta react sometimes to things that are happening to you as opposed to always being able to control how things are gonna go down. So over here I'll just... I don't think he has enough movement range. Anyway. So right here, the Grudge Settler army can deal with that. Because it's like even if you have to fight a manual, let me just say it's Troll Hammer Torpedoes with a bunch of hammers and longbeards against that. That's not a battle, that is a freaking slaughterfest. Right there. And once the army here sorts its shit out, well, yeah, Astrogoth just pushed me in a bad situation. Ooh, I will lose. I don't think I need to tell you what these two units can do. I think if you've ever played a campaign as dwarves, you know exactly what they can do. Maybe, and you know what? Even if I lose it, okay, I lose it. Fair enough. I lose everything here. Does it matter? When I got an entire stack of troops just ready to come in Wulfric, I would recommend fighting this battle manually. So, because even if you lose it, like Wulfric is not the big threat the big threat guy over here. The threat, if you will. So yeah, you could inflict severe losses over here. As long as you keep the Tower of Crack, you're fine. Like, there will be rebellions. But obviously you do want to fight that battle, man. The big threat over here, like, we gotta pay attention to what's happening to Astrogoth. Because, like, if he's only at war with me, then he's liable to just come and attack me. So we get all those Jara bombers. We give him... I give him all the cannons. Maybe. Yeah, to hell with it.
Aye, good dwarven engineer will make this impregnable.
And I want to see Wulfric with his free stacks deal with this. It's called target practice for cannons. So we teleport, we kill a bunch of pansy elves, get some payment. Also, crazy thing, if you trigger that quest bell, just kind of worth pointing this out. If you trigger that quest bell, funnily enough, you gain vision over Ulf 1. That means declarations of war in Ulf 1. That means more money. Wow, Tyrion is getting his ass whooped over here.
Well met.
Gotta play some... You can't ignore diplomacy in the campaign, because, like, I think, like, if you ignore diplomacy, you're ignoring... Like, you need the money. Right, so right here, we just keep moving these armies in a position. We can even recruit some troops, maybe, but gotta be careful about how we do it, because we don't want to scare the bastard off.
Did you see that, lads?
Shouldn't you be licking the...
And also, just don't scare people off in general. Midland.
A timely arrival.
They're not really a threat, so...
I will listen, but my time is...
More money. Oh, and I know people are going to say, oh, you're cheesing it. You don't want to see me get unlimited money for unlimited settlement trading. Let's just leave it there. If I wanted to cheese, I would have taken Prague by now. That's also another thing. Just because a faction is quote-unquote your ally. Okay, finally we got vision. So we know exactly what's going on right there. So we can deal with him. Maybe I need to do some emergency recruitment right there to stop Astrogoth. But it just goes to show, like, that Norska battle, complete fucking irrelevancy, right? I would have done more casualties to them, but okay, who cares? More or less.
Lord of Clan Morgrim.
It's like, oh, but there's a lot of them. You can't win that. You see what's coming here, right? I mean, I think I'll just end it. Even the dwarves with their ridiculous outer resolve, it's like, oh, but it's free armies. You can never win this. Okay. Grape Shot says hello. So if I say, oh, but they can charge you. Yeah, why do you think we got Thunderers in our... Thunderers are decent enough tanks. Just saying. So Norska may throw... So Norska has this tendency of throwing a lot of armies and you think you can't win. It's like, even if you corner camp... It doesn't matter. Norska can't do shit against corner camping. They don't have the magical capability. Oh, he has one mage. They don't have the monsters. I mean, he might have... He doesn't even have the mammoth mount over here, thankfully. But he does have one mammoth. And then it's like... Cannons obliterate him. Don't even get me started on what Malakai would have done in this situation. So, Norska is not a priority. It's a nice benefit. Astrogoth... chaos, those are issues. So you can't slowly go for Norse God, but the slower you go for Norse God, the worse off Grumbrindle gets. That's the trade-off. Go see signing out.